All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Saturday morning. October 15th, Pocket Change Market Report is here for you. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in on this video. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the video that I launch twice a week to showcase and illustrate some of the coins that exist out there that you can either find going through coin rolls or going through large batches of change, or even cherry picking your local coin shop or show, because oftentimes dealers really don't care a whole lot about some of the errors and varieties that you're going to see here today. Therefore, they will just have them, priced accordingly to what the date is and condition and all that great stuff. So you could pick up some of these coins for the unattributed price, whether it's either a error or variety that you spot. You can pick them up for the unattributed price, which is going to be a lot lower than what the more valuable price would be if you found, say, a really nice double to die or a repunchment mark or some marquee error. All right, and then most folks either add something nice to their collection. That's a good, inexpensive way of doing so, or you could take the route of what a lot of people are doing today, and that is reselling. Reselling is big business in all things online. eBay is the biggest marketplace, bar none, to go along with your Shopifys, your Amazons, and things like that. But when it comes to coin sales, eBay has long been the traditional e-commerce platform that most resellers prefer for these items. So thank you guys again for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and jump right in here. These are all sales from the last about 48 hours worth. So this is all new, fresh market data. In addition, we don't talk about any graded coins because that's a needed expense on a lot of these. Why spend the extra $40, $50, $60 to attribute some of these errors and varieties when they'll still be worth the amount of money that they sell for today raw? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our list for today. Hopefully this will give you a little inspiration to do some hunting for your own. How about this almost fancy serial number? To some people, it looks kind of neat. So it's either one of two things. It's a very close binary serial number, which is a combination of any two serial numbers that make up the serial numbers. So we have ones and zeros and that pesky 2 in there. But also, it's close to being a super repeater, which are two numbers repeated across the serial number string. And it's both. It can be both, but that 2 kind of throws a wrench in the whole thing. So what do? Do we toss this back, spend it on your next cup of coffee? Not so fast, all right? It's worth a shot. Just go ahead and list it, see what comes out of it. The seller actually did a fantastic job recognizing that this could be something to someone else. The almosts can still be worth money. This particular note ended up selling for $32. $32. If that's not proof alone that you shouldn't toss these back, I don't know what is. Just go ahead and save these, post them up. Any interesting serial number that you know of, I would say, roll the dice on it. There are going to be some of the minor collectors of such things, and they will pay up for these. The next one that we have here is one of my favorite varieties. It's actually a very common one on 1938D Buffalo Nickels. These were commonly saved and hoarded at such nice state of preservation. The grades on these are generally very well nice. It's kind of rare to see an example of this particular date worse than an XF condition coin. But be on the lookout for the overmint marks, which are the D over S's. There's a couple of them. And then, of course, a few of the RPMs are spectacular. This one right here is RPM number 10. You can see the secondary Denver mint mark is punched west of the primary. Good job by the seller for putting together a just fantastic looking presentation here with the close-up of the mid-mark and very nice crisp photos of both the obverse and the reverse of the coin. This looks like your traditional standard XF condition coin by itself. It's only worth a few bucks, but with the RPM attribution in there. It certainly gives a little bit more leeway for making money here. This one sold for $17.99. Just a job well done. And again, a coin that you don't have to grade, especially in this grade. All right, the next one that we have here is one of the very nice Cherry Picker's Guide varieties that you could look out for in the wild. Now, this is a little bit older date. Sure, it's a wheat cent backed 1944D, but there are a couple really noticeable overmint marks, which are D's over S's or S over D's, depending on the date. This one is a D over S. If you could look right here on this secondary close-up image, you could see that the left curl of the S poking through the left side of the Denver mint mark. And then on most examples, you could actually see that line go through the inner loop of that D. All right, so this one, again, a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. I believe this is the FS 512, if I'm not mistaken. The bigger one is the 511, of course. That coin is worth a lot more money if you could find it, but do not sleep on this one either. This particular example sold for $55.20 with 2 total bids. Note the condition. It's not like a fantastic high-end example, but a very nice circulated example that is what I consider problem-free. All right, we have actually quite a bit of currency to talk about in this edition. This one's really cool. All right, this is what they call a gutter fold error on this 1969C $10 Federal Reserve note. Where you can see that just omission of print there on the left side that actually goes through the first 2 in the serial number and kind of like splits it wide open there. What causes this is simply just a wrinkle in the sheet. If the wrinkle isn't stretched out before the printing occurs, you will end up with this gutter. So anyone else that does notice a wrinkle and they haven't quite stretched it out, it's going to leave a really spectacular, if not visually stunning, type of occurrence on there. Now on the back, you could tell as well that during that back print, the wrinkle was never stretched out or pressed out at this point. So it did print over the wrinkle, leaving yet another gutter on the reverse. This particular note ended up selling for $36.39 with 12 bids. The note is in spectacular shape. I do note a center fold in there, but it was probably found very early on. Now, when I saw this one pop up on the eBay feed from the last day or so, I thought to myself, man, this thing looks really cool. But it's a 1988 Lincoln Memorial cent with an obverse Cud die break. So, as you guys know, there's a lot of wear and tear that goes on with these mint presses. Anywhere from the actual machine itself to the dies, the collar. There could be any sort of malfunction, break, or something that happens to these components, all right? If they're not constantly being inspected and all that, there will be something that breaks, all right? Just like an automobile, if you continuously driving it without changing the oil or, doing something else to the car to maintain it, I mean, obviously it's going to show its wear and tear. Brakes are a big one too. Speaking of which, I need to repair my brakes, so I better get this video up ASAP. But in this particular case, the actual obverse hammer die had cracked, fractured, and the piece had fallen out to produce what is this raised blobby area of metal that is right there on the left-hand side of the coin. Generally, you will have a corresponding weakness on the reverse from where that Cud die break is. This is also, keep in mind, a copper-coated zinc composition. So, irrespective to that, there are Cuds that show up on these newer compositions. This particular coin is spectacular sale, this thing. $245.25 with 22 total bids. Judging off of that actual sale price, it sounds like and appears like that this one doesn't pop up too much on the secondary market. There are some Cuds that show up constantly, like on a weekly basis, that sells for a good solid $30 to $50. But when they get up to $100 plus, I guarantee you those are particular cuts that we don't see in the marketplace. And people do collect these by type. The next one that we have here, again, you wouldn't know there'd be anything strange happening with this much newer 2021 Shield set. But there's something. There's definitely something pretty cool. This was discovered last year to the tune of a die crack that goes from the rim into Lincoln's jacket, and it formulates a pretty nice sized interior die break. That's kind of like that raised blob that you see there. This particular coin right here is in really nice shape, and these have been a consistently good seller on eBay. While you're not going to be rich selling these, just finding one in general is important, and one that deserves a lot more respect than some of the other coins out there in circulation. This particular example ended up selling for $18, which is a really nice, phenomenal amount of money. There are much bigger type of anomalies like this on the same date that have sold for over 20, getting close to $30 on certain occasions. So this might be like a little bit earlier state of this progression. I would certainly keep an eye out of this area because of where it's located. This is one that's easy to miss and just continue to kind of like pawn it off on someone else. Here's another earlier dated coin. Again, it's unassuming. 1955S Lincoln Wheat Cent is a common date to find the good old little tiny die chip that connects to B&E and Liberty. They call this the BIE die chip, or by errors is what they're referred to. These are listed on the Cuds on Coins website. So there are folks, again, that collect these by actual attribution number. They want all the different types of shapes and sizes of this occurrence. The die chip looks like a letter I, and that's how it gets its kind of like theoretical namesake of a BIE or BIE die chip. So pretty cool. This one sold for $15.50 with 15 bids. Fantastic amount of money. I usually sell these for about $5 to $10, but in much nicer condition. They can go up a little bit higher, and some of them are a little bit more scarce than others. Now again, a very unassuming coin. This coin is, what is it? Like, 37 years old already? And you know how many hands this coin has been through? And how many jars of change this thing has sat in? Quite a bit, all right? So again, it really lends a little bit extra caution to the wind when you're going through even Roosevelt dimes, because there are a number of very spectacular errors to find here. This one just so happens to have what I call and consider probably like a medium strength kind of clashing dies type of error here. You can see some of the clashing in front of Roosevelt's face. But to a much stronger extent, you can see that the clashing of Roosevelt's profile really strong on the reverse. Again, if you're not looking, you wouldn't know it's there. This one ended up selling for $17.98 with 2 bids. Again, it doesn't seem like a ton of money, but it sure is, heck, a lot better than a sharp stick in the eye. That represents, what, 179x your face value money on this one. Why would you not want to hold on to this? Here's another gutter fold, this time on the 63A, $10 bill. You can see right there, pretty nice, especially when they go through the portrait like that, and especially if it splits the president that's on there. Now, Hamilton was never president, but, he was a figurehead on the $10 bills. Probably the least favorite among all of them. But yeah, this is a really cool error. But you can tell that on the reverse, it doesn't show the gutter, which leads me to believe that it was stretched out at one point when a BEP employee probably figured it out and had done their due diligence to make sure that that wrinkle was not there when the back print was applied. So this note right here ended up selling for $103 with 32 bids. This is just a very beautiful earlier date, very vibrant inking. There is that one notable upper left fold on the front there. But aside from that, really cool note. And then this one right here, this is a modified later issue, what we call Big Head design on the $5 bill. This is a 1999, but simply it's just miscut. You can see a very tight, non-existent margin there on the front. That's on the top. This is again one of the more minor errors to encounter. This is a $44 sale with 12 bids. And then finally, right here, we have more inking woes on this 2009 $1 bill. So it's a much later dated note. Just the third overprint you can see is misaligned a little bit downwards. Just looking at that green seal there on the right hand side, along with the top serial number string, is all further down from where they should be. So again, pretty minor to most people's eyes, but this is something that a lot of currency collectors want. They want the minor, they want the major, they're willing to open up their wallets. In this case, $54 sale here with this one, 22 bids strong. So our big marquee coin of the week, while not the most expensive coin of the week, man, I'm telling you what, any terminal die type of Lincoln Shield cent has been bonkers. I mean, just capital B onkers. That's how crazy the final sales prices of a lot of these coins have been here as of late. 2020 Lincoln Shield cent. Check out the massive rim-to-rim die crack. Forms kind of like a somewhat interior die break type of anomaly there on the E on 1 on the reverse. But this is a thick boy right here. The condition is not spectacular. This one had made its rounds to many hands. People have held these things in their pocket for the better part of the last 2 years before it was discovered. But this is a heck of a find and a heck of a sale too. $280.79 was the final sale price on this. 37 total bids contributed to that amount. A lot of people were genuinely interested in this, and we see these on a few dates from 2016, 2019, 2020, 2021. Of course, you guys know they have that major retained CUD coin on the 2021s, which are going to age extremely well. All right, those things are going to be very expensive here in about 10 years. What do you know? We got another new Lincoln, 2022 this time. We're still in 2022 for a few more months. So it's still high time to look for these at their highest grade levels. There's still going to be a boatload of these in just minty red fresh, as if they were minted yesterday type condition. What do we have here? We got some clash dies, okay? Not the strongest, I will say that, but you could see the clashing of the shield lines on there. You could see Unum from E Pluribus Unum clashed right there going into the bow tie area. This one ended up selling for $16.50 with 10 bids. I mean, shoot, you go through a full box of these, and more than likely you're going to end up coming across a number of them. So just kind of put it into this perspective. You went through a full box, and guess what? It's not everybody's favorite thing to do, to go through just basic full date BU 2022s. But let's say you found one or two in every single roll. That's like a $15 bill, another 15, another 15. And if they're in much nicer condition or the clashing is much stronger, man, that price goes up. It goes up to $20 to $30, like we've normally seen from some of the more stronger type of clashing that we've seen on the state. So always be aware, all right? Count the money as you go. If you don't find anything right away, it's okay. It's going to be kind of like this game of, just a treasure hunt is what it is. But it is a lot of fun. All right, this one's really cool. Just a 1949 Lincoln Wheat cent, but look at the reverse there. We do have a strike-through of some sort. Could have been either a component to a die that had fallen off, or maybe it was a detachment from another coin that was kind of bouncing around in the striking chamber, ended up on the anvil die, which is the reverse design die, and sat there and struck this one. And the piece had fallen out again, and probably, I don't know, it could have flung around left a striking chamber, fallen on the floor. You just never know. These coins are being minted in rapid succession. So, when something like this occurs, you won't know till it's too late. This one sold for $24.99. It's just a decent looking coin. And I think the size of the anomaly on the reverse is really what got this one to where it was sold at. Now, not my personal favorite, but heck, a Jefferson nickel that's struck off center by about 65%. Has that deep dish kind of like smeared look on especially on the front. That's the big reason why I put it here. It's just a very dramatic looking off-center strike. This one sold for $30, believe it or not, with 15 bids. And that's considering that there's no readable date. Usually a readable date equates to money, like big money, because these are, again, collected by date. All right, so you guys know my stance on just hunting through old coins. I'm all for it, a dozen thumbs up. That's what I think. So if you're at a coin shop and you're not looking for things like this, like on the 3-cent nickels or the Indian head cents, my goodness, you're leaving some incredible cash on the table. How about this 1867 3-center with a pretty giant-sized cud die break on the reverse there? These things were just riddled with die clashing and die cracks and retained cuds and full-blown cuds and all that stuff. These are a virtual kind of like feast for the eyes, and they're like the best kind of treasure hunting you could do because they exist all over the place. This one ended up selling for $62.60 with 12 bids. Outstanding. Speaking of cuds, you notice a trend. Cuds and major die cracks have been all the rage here in the last few days. And with good reason, because the market has picked up. We are in the middle of the most busiest time for the hobby during the holidays. So we're seeing just an influx of spectacular type of terminal state occurrences, like on this 1997 Lincoln Shield set. The date itself is nothing really to write home to mother about, but check out that massive cud that encompasses most of the motto "In God We Trust" and Lincoln's head. This thing is huge. This one ended up selling for $75.60. And some of you are going to say, well, that seems like a very cheap amount of money for the size of the cud. Well, I'm going to tell you this, and take this as a little bit of a pro tip. The pictures, while on screen, look large and clear enough. This is like a tiny little dot on the screen from the original seller. I actually had to blow it up and then crop it to get the final result you see here. Now, if the seller would have done that, they probably could have very well managed $125 from this particular coin. But heck, $75 still not too bad. It could have gone down a lot worse. All right, as pictures do a lot for a listing, so make sure you're taking your time photographing these and cropping them and zooming in as necessary, because that's going to be important moving forward. Okay, so this is not a date that you would normally see off-center struck, 55S. I mean, the San Francisco Mint doesn't really screw up too much, but this one also has a few little scratches on the obverse, so it's far from the perfect coin, obviously. But overall, the coin's in nice shape. This one ended up selling for $56 with 10 bids. Well, it was only a matter of time. We got another Wilma Mankiller Cud die break market update. We have this one with just the obverse Cud that you see there on top of Washington's head. Always a good find if you guys are looking for some extra cash right now. If you're waiting around for it, you're really not putting your true potential in there. This one sold for $330.60. Yeah, these things are special. They are cool, and if you could find the double-sided with the cut on the obverse and that massive crack going through most of the back of this thing, that's still going to be an expensive coin. We saw one sold finally for over $1,000. It was like $1,200 to be exact. However, that one was graded, so if you're looking to maximize the potential of these, go ahead and get them graded. That's all I gotta say. This is just a really cool coin. All right, some more new impactful American women quarters. Of course, we are hot on the heels of a new doubled earring discovery from a few weeks ago. Again, congrats to Dodger 455 for finding two brand new, freshly attributed doubled earring Maya Angelous. This is the doubled earring that actually is on the inside instead of the outside. This is VDDR number 2 on Variety Vista's website. This one ended up selling, get this, $58.95. VDDR number 1s have been selling for about $25. So this one is a little bit more tougher. And right now, they are coveted to the highest level because these are new, fresh, attributed varieties. Just a really good-looking 1998 P off-center struck Washington. This one right here has ended up selling for $43.60 with 2 bids. Again, not a particularly rare day to find off-center strikes. We've seen them probably at least once a week, if not more frequently than that. But the coin is in pretty decent shape, and there is bound to be a collector that needs this for a date set. Here's another one here, 2022 P Maya Angelou. This used to be a huge find, but come to find out they are common as dirt. And that's going to be the corner of mouth little herpes dye chip is what people have been calling it. This is actually the biggest, most terminal state of this particular occurrence that goes and covers nearly the line that makes up the mouth on Mr. Washington here. Normally, this one is accompanied by also the dye chip that's on the bridge of his nose as well. This one does not have it. But I remember this thing first coming out. It used to be like, I don't know, it used to be like a $30 to $50 sale. And all the minor ones used to sell for $10 to $15. Now they're not like that anymore. So is this thing still worth selling? I would say yeah. This particular example right here ended up selling for $15.59 with 5 bids. If it had that bridge of nose dye chip, this would probably elevate up to like $25-30 like we've seen a few others. Here's another spectacular Washington quarter off-center strike, this time a 1985 P. Whoa, a little bit different date here. Again, the coin is in fantastic shape. This is going to go into a date set, no doubt about it. $47.45 was the final sale. Well, we didn't have too much in the way of lots per se, but here you go. I guess you could consider this 2-coin CUD lot as a lot. I just said it, right? So we have a 74D. You guys can see the CUD die break just under the date and mint mark. And then we have an 84 as well. Kind of like, 2 different worlds here with an actual copper composition and one that's, well, not. You can see the CUD above the word we in the motto there. So again, CUDs are big. Was this one sold at a discount? Actually, not too bad, actually. This one ended up selling for $79.88. About a $40 average for each piece, which is, just perfect. Don't buy it if you think you're going to resell it for a lot more money, because I think a lot of the potential has been maxed out with this one. But if you're looking to add a couple really nice pieces to your collection, I mean, you could do a whole lot worse. Nothing incredibly too fancy, but this is a much earlier dated Lincoln cent, as a matter of fact, in 1942, with a little bit of a curved clip in there, just a single old clip. So is this still a $2 to $3 coin? Maybe not this one. This one ended up at $14.99. Again, the older you go with finding some of these minor errors, the more that they're going to be worth. Because again, these are collected by date. There are a number of folks out there that do that. But again, the older dates means you just don't see them as frequently on the open market. Another cool one here, Brian Rybar sold a few of these RPMs here this week. We have a 1953 S over S RPM on this Lincoln cent. You can see the secondary S is north of the primary. This is a very good looking coin too. I have probably 20 of these, one specific 53S over S RPM. It's also RPM number 6 in the catalog files online. This one ended up selling for $13.90. Again, it's relatively common, and that's why they're not more than that. Although I would imagine just truly gem BU reds probably would be like 20 to 30 bucks on any other given day. Now, the last gutter fold that we're going to talk about here in this episode is this one with multiple gutters in it. All right, so there is a tremendous argument that gutter folds are kind of like the low end of the totem pole in the error world of currency. But man, I mean, when you have one that has multiple gutters, I mean, this thing is amazing. And each little gutter, it goes through a very significant part of the note. Like you have one that goes through right through Andrew Jackson. It looks like now an MC Escher kind of like piece of artwork at that point. You have one that goes through the A in the serial number, and another one, the thinner one, goes through the 5 in the serial number. So it's just really cool to look at. I could stare at these all day long. You could see that the wrinkles were stretched out before the secondary print process of the reverse, which is spectacular. That means the BEP employee paid attention this time around. This one sold for $74.39 with 11 bids. Our other lot for this episode of the PCMR is this 6-coin lot of just kind of a potpourri of various coins. And you have a off-center struck Jefferson nickel. It's the only other denomination other than Lincoln's in this one. No readable date, but it is in pretty good shape. You also have a Lincoln off-center strike. No date there as well. You have a 1940s Lincoln that was struck through or maybe clogged dies, when it's missing that last digit. You have a 45 detached lamination and a blank planchet. And finally, a 55 with some, they said double to die, but it's die deterioration. Probably has a poor man's double to die on there. So, again, you look out for these with the potential of reselling them if it's cheap enough. And the idea is you want to double your money based off of what you originally paid for the lot. This one ended up selling for $53 with 26 bids. It's close. You can make a few dollars, but you're probably not going to double up on this. The Jefferson nickel and the detached lamination 45 are two of the most spectacular errors, and by their own, that you're probably going to recoup about maybe half your money or slightly above that. But yeah, you're not going to get rich on something like this. So always keep an eye out. There will be better lots that are sold, too late in the evening or too early in the day that you could snipe pretty easily. Mr. Rybar posted another really nice RPM. This is kind of like the redheaded stepchild to the major FS501. This is not the FS501. This is a completely different RPM for 1953, which is this one here. So the secondary Denver mid-mark is punched westward of the primary on this example. This one, RPM number 2, by the way, is what this one is. Sold for $18.90. The Cherry Picker's Guide variety types, especially in this condition, would sell for anywhere from like 10 to 50% more in value because, again, of their FS attribution number. This one is just RPM number 2, so be on the lookout for these. Couple more coins left. This one's actually neat. It's in pretty decent shape too. 1955 Lincoln Wheatie is a real sweetie. I would say it's probably near close to full red. The reverse isn't nearly as nice as the front, but who cares? So you have this massive interior die break, the cracked skull of sorts in a good old Lincoln's head. It's just, this is common stuff right here. So always look out for these, and they're always worth a few dollars, even in the lowest condition. All right. Again, these are on Cuds on Coins' website. A lot of them are attributed, but you might come across one every so often that's not listed on that website, and then you can turn it in and get your name stamped to that discovery. So this one right here sold for $38.91. More of that has to do with the actual condition of it. These are generally pretty well circulated XF kind of level of grade. Okay, well, this one's pretty cool. It's even in an old vintage 2x2 holder. I mean, I haven't seen one of these things in quite some time, but yeah, how about a Bicentennial Drummer Boy quarter that struck about 10% off center? This thing is drop dead sexy. Bicentennials with errors, yeah, the market is ginormous for them because it's one of the most popularly collected single kind of specific one-off coins that you can encounter. This was like the earliest form of a commemorative coin direct to circulation that precedes the Statehood Quarter series by many years. This thing even looks like Grandpa's old penny loafers. As far as the preservation and the 2x2 holder. I mean, this thing is all sorts of vintage. The pretty cool, $134.60 was the final sale. I would have paid that for this coin. I always get to these like last minute, and they're already off the market by the time that I do see them. But yeah, this is a just really good looking coin. You know what I'm going to say, be on the lookout. Doesn't matter where it's at, whether it's in circulation or at a coin shop, and you just have some dealer that's just oblivious to the fact that it's a bicentennial error. You put two and two together and it equates to money bags. That's what that means. And then finally, we're going to end it off on a beautimous 1908 Indian head cent off center by, I would say, 10% as well on this one. Again, these obsolete errors of this type, broad strikes, off center strikes, double struck, it's all good in the neighborhood because, the collectors will want these every day of the week, and even long after you're done with the hobby. This is going to be the easiest high dollar sale that you can imagine, and especially if it's graded. I would certainly grade this one just to preserve it a little bit more. $335 was the final sale price. Again, the date, it's a little bit later dated. One of the more common dates of Indian head cents, but shoot, the coin is in spectacular shape. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this edition of the PCMR. That was a lot of fun. There was some really cool stuff this week. Go out there, guys. Pound the pavement. Go to your banks. Some of you have probably already done so already. Check out a coin shop or a show. There are a few of those across the country, and get to work. Find some really cool stuff to add to your collection or to resell. You know it's going to be there for the taking, if not by you, by someone else. That's it. I'm out. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my weekend, and I hope you guys do the same. Happy hunting. Best of luck, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.